Back on a day in which we had breaking news on China from President Trump via his Twitter feed earlier in the day. Had plenty to say about these new tariffs that are set to go into place on the 1st of September. We have analysis from Lenore Hawkins and Lindsay Bell, who are with us earlier and are now back with us. And Dan Mitchell joins from the Center for Freedom and Prosperity, where he's chairman. Dan, always good to see you. So I'll start with you as you just joined the conversation. We all listened together to the president. We know earlier today he promises after September 1st 10% tariffs on the additional $300 billion of goods coming in from China. What's your read on that in terms of what can happen before September 1st, maybe what happens after September 1st? The president saying there moments ago he thinks President Xi wants to make a deal, among other things. What do you think?
First, let's hope there is a deal, because it would be bad news for the U.S. economy for Trump to impose this tax increase on American consumers. And what worries me in a broader sense is that what good things Trump has done on taxes and regulation are being offset by the bad policies he's doing on government spending and especially on trade. Protectionism just simply is not good policy.
Lindsay, I'll use Dan's point to go to you, because it's one of the things that I've wondered about consistently throughout his whole tenure while he's been conducting this trade war. The president has made a consistently dishonest argument in terms of how he talks about why the tariffs are in place or how they're being paid. He over and over again says that they're being paid by China, not by the United States. Now, we all know that's technically untrue. It's just not true. You can make other arguments saying that they're absorbed by China, that they may change the cost of some products, or sometimes he'll talk about the fact that they may be devaluing their currency. But technically they're paid when they come in. U.S. companies are paying them. To Dan's point, they're going to pass those along. Some have already, and the fear is in these new round of tariffs, because they're on more consumer-related items, there may be more passed along to U.S. consumers, and that may damage the economy more. What's your read?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Connell. These tariffs are taxes on the U.S. consumer. Sure, China can manipulate their currency a little bit to make the brunt feel a little bit less impactful to the consumer immediately. But if this 10% goes into place on September 1st, the consumer is going to be the first to feel it. It's going to happen on Nike shoes. It's going to happen on iPhones, any Apple product coming in. Now, what we're going to need to see over the course of the next month, what type of exemptions will there be allowed for these consumer products that are going to now be tariffed at 10%?
Yeah, if any, right? I mean, I know they were saying that Apple won't get the exemption this time around, Lenore, and then, to Lindsay's point, then the consumer, which has been propping up this economy, where we saw the weaknesses on the business side, right? Lenore, where we've seen business investments start to fall, and really, what you're hearing Jay Powell tell it yesterday, that's really the reason or one of the big reasons they cut rates.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things here. Like you were saying, I really struggle with constantly saying that China's paying the tariffs. They're not. And then complaining about China manipulating their currency at the same time, and basically in the same 24 hours, criticizing the Fed for not lowering rates here enough, because apparently when we do it, it's not currency manipulation. When China does it, it is. On top of that, with these trade wars, because trade wars, let's face it, they've become kind of a corporate whack-a-mole. Who knows what country we're going to be into a battle with next? And that's not only affecting China's investment in the United States,
right,
and that hurts jobs, but it affects American investment in their own businesses, because who knows, how do you put together your production pipeline? Because you have no idea who we're going to be battling with. Where do you invest the money? Where do you grow your company? How do you best source products? That means that there's less investment in businesses, there's fewer people being hired, and there's less innovation, because corporations are just nervous. So what do they do with their money? They buy back shares, and that's not good for us in the long run.
Okay, and as a final point, Dan, all of that being said, the president's argument, and those close to him, would say it's all worth it. Because at the end of the day, as you heard him say, China, he used the term, has been ripping us off for years. Somebody needed to fight this fight, and it's going to be worth it at the end. Do you believe that, Dan?
Trump is right that China is not a free trade nation. They have lots of cronyism and subsidies inside their financial system, inside their business organizations. That should be dealt with. And what frustrates me is that Trump is shooting American consumers in the feet when he could have been very successful cooperating with the Japanese in using the WTO to clamp down on China. It would have taken longer, but much, much higher likelihood of success than this trade war he started.
All right, and continues and escalated today. Dan, thank you. Lenore and Lindsay, thanks for all the analysis throughout the hour.